And welcome back to Skyrim. Let's just do some work for the companions. Hopefully it doesn't break this time.
You're the harbinger of the companions. It is my honor to stand before you.
Against its own people! So rise up! Rise up, children of the Empire! Rise up!
Thanks.
Oh, hey there. I killed a bear yesterday. Did you kill anything? Friends like you are hard to find, and very valuable to me. What guidance could you offer me?
Azura's wisdom to you, friend.
My favorite drinking buddy. Let's get some mead.
Huh?
Good evening. What happened to traveling light? Ouch.
Talos, the unassailable! To you, we give praise!
Stormcloaks, Imperials, Dragons. Ain't no matter to me.
Watch what you're doing.
welcome back. Alright, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet before tonight's games get started.
I'm glad
here.
I got to ditch that wooden
We'll go
sword.
ahead, we'll start at the top.
Can't say it turned any heads in the world of romance.
It is Wednesday, just should throw that in there. So we'll start at the top of the board, as I said, with Tampa Bay Lightning. Victor Hedman, the team announced today, is taking a personal leave of absence.
I don't claim
the Lightning.
the
They're not
finest
saying
weapons
why,
in
but
armor.
it's about, so whatever he needs to attend to, that he needs to leave the team for. Hopefully this gets resolved quickly and he's back with the team. The good thing is that Tampa's played without Hedman during this season at times, and they've done pretty well while he's been out. So having Hedman out for a while, they should be okay for when he's ready to return. However long he needs, I hope that whatever is causing to leave this...
Don't forget to check inside the shop if you need anything.
As soon as possible, he can come back and play. The reason why I'm wearing a Mammoth jersey today, Michael Morthal, young goaltender, has signed his 3-year, entry-level contract with the Mammoth. Young goaltender, I like Morthal. I do. I think there's a good one there. Probably spends next year playing with the Roadrunners in Tucson in the AHL, and then we'll see what happens after that. It probably ends up being a year. The goaltender do take a little bit longer to go than forwards and defensemen, so not necessarily a big deal if he spends the first year in the AHL. They're pretty good at the NHL level when it comes to Vejmelka. Vanacek's on an expiring contract. Maybe they bring him back again for another year. Maybe they bring in another backup, but
divine smile on you,
job in Tucson for next season. They've also recalled Boot from the AHL. I like Boot. I think he's
come
a
to
good player.
Dragon's Reach to discuss the ongoing hostilities, like the rest of the Great Warriors.
Utah has had their ups and downs recently, so getting a guy with his level of energy and size and all that should only help, really, in all honesty. The club's
Terrible conflict has claimed everyone's passions of late. There's a tranquility in magic, don't you think?
Columbus, the team that I've talked about before, hasn't been... I mean, relevant's a word that I use, and I know relevant seems tough. It seems mean. But in terms of teams in the National Hockey League that are dangerous, contenders, the first team that you think of when you think about a great team, Columbus has never really been in that category. So it's nice to see that right now they're at their highest spot in the standings this late in the season for the first time since 2016-2017. So they're reaching pretty heady territory for Columbus and looking to get beyond that. So we'll see if this is the year that Columbus
if you've got the
makes
aptitude,
some headway in
you
the
should
playoffs.
join the
But
Majors
it's nice to
College
see Columbus above the playoff line this late in the season. So fingers crossed they're able to stay there. And who knows, maybe they get to be the home team for games 1 and 2 in a series for the first time in their history. So again, I'll cross my fingers on that one as well. Kenny Malkin dealing with an upper body injury. He is not playing tomorrow against the Sens. So this is one of those day-to-day injuries. And now it's 4 days. Probably going to end up being a week. We'll see. With injuries this time of year becomes even more vague than earlier in the year. It was very vague earlier in the year. So for the Penguins to be without Malkin against an Ottawa team that is red hot, their work is going to be put out for in terms of being able to win the game.
You know, since Konrak's funeral, the Skyforge feels more awake. It's always been said that the souls of the heroes of old are what gives Skyforge steel its strength. And I think the Forge knows the greatness of Konrak's soul. I can't really explain, but it feels like it's young. I'll wager it could now forge metal the likes of which hasn't been seen since eras long forgotten. I'm eager to try.
I try not to have too many of those on the board because it's just
Gods be praised.
And this guy might play. Well, good luck. If you're in fantasy, this guy's a maybe. I don't know what to tell you. Although I know for Bank that's probably not on your fantasy team. And if he is, why? Lindell dealing with the rib injury, and I believe it's Paul Maurice that said he's expected to be out 2 to 6 weeks. With 6 weeks of the season ending, if it's 2 weeks, he'll be back before the season is done. Lindell being out for this long, I do wonder if maybe this was what was lingering after the Olympics. We knew that he was dealing with lingering injuries after the Olympics. And it's been such a rough few years for these Florida players. And then he's thrown out Victoria on top of that. And really, so much extra hockey being played by these Florida players. I did see a chart that showed how many extra games they've played.
Let me know if you see anything you like.
And if you're also pretty good at just in general and you're able to play internationally like Lindell has, that's even more mileage you're putting on your body. So hopefully he's able to heal up, and if it's season ending, really for Florida, there's a lot of players that we're going to see how they are in September once we get to training.
Everything's for sale, my friend. Everything. Take a look.
Timmons could return today for Buffalo. He's expected to be removed from the IR list and may very well have been by the time I've recorded this video. So yeah, Timmons could return today for Buffalo. Greenway, we know, is getting closer to return too. This is a Buffalo team that's already pretty red hot, so getting guys back should just make it that much better for them. But we'll see. Svechkov has signed an extension with the Nashville Predators. It is a 2-year extension. Love the cap hit, $1.25 million per. I like Svechkov. I know the numbers in terms of this season this year have not been overwhelming. He's not putting up a lot offensively. I think the potential is there. I think he's going to develop into a 20-goal scorer. 45, 50-point player I could see, and just a really good two-way forward. So Svechkov at $1.25 million, that could be a bargain as soon as next season if he does take that next step. For a Nashville team that's probably going to get younger over the summer. I'll come back to the next item after we talk about what's at the bottom.
Do come back.
Signed Bernard Docker to
I'd even buy one of your relatives.
For Bernard Docker, $1.6 million. So a Detroit team that is backed
you
up
know
in
what's
playoffs,
wrong with Skyrim these days?
Line is depth piece. But this extension tells you he's expected to be in their lineup going forward through next season and the year after.
Got some. I don't claim.
Take a look. A decent fit. I have some opinions on this as well.
Don't forget to check inside. Have you met my father? He's anything to suit your needs.
And he's looking over, and he's looking down, and he's looking over whoever it is on the bench that's got the earpiece with, directly tied upstairs.
Welcome to We've got smoke. Looking to protect yourself or deal some damage.
It takes a while at times for that to resolve itself, and I do feel like there's supposed to be
doing
a
business with you.
30 seconds scored. Sometimes there is, sometimes not so much. But the iPads on the bench, I think they're a positive and negative. There was an article on Sportsnet today that were talking about how some players like to look at that place when they've made a really nice play, see it again. And if they've made a mistake, they don't necessarily want the iPads. Ouch. Go down to them, show them what they did wrong. There are players as well. I think it was Jack Hughes in the article was talking about players kind of beating themselves up with plays they just screwed up. I do think that's a problem. I do think that's something where you can really magnify it. Well, players already mad about something that they did on the ice.
Hey,
just watching yourself make that.
Those Whiterun guards can take.
Probably is going to put you in a great mindset. Now, you might
the
go out on
Emperor
the ice,
Skyrim,
might
dead.
go and score a goal.
The
You
dark
might go out on the
times, my
ice.
friend.
You might still be angry. You might say
So,
something that-
life is
so
bright.
there's that.
Rogar's
I
house?
think that the
My
iPads,
people believe it
I'm
to
not
be
a
cursed.
fan of
Rogar blamed.
the idea
Many
that they
folk
should
think
have
he
all.
set
I think they're
lust
useful.
The ashes were still warm when he pledged himself to
And if
Alpha.
you're using the iPad
On
to
rumor
kind of
and
ground
gossip,
yourself about plays
sift
that you screwed up, that
Should
kind
you
of
prove
thing.
him guilty or
I don't think that
innocent,
helps the player.
I
I don't
will
think that helps their
reward you.
teammates either. I can't see myself, when we have our meetups, oh my gosh.
What is it,
funny.
Red
If
Dot?
we had, for our meetups, if we had some kind of setup where we could show guys, hey, here's where you screwed up on that goal, the other guy scored, what the heck? Maybe at some point, maybe I'll bring a tablet to meetups and just have the goal games guys.
Who's that?
We can pretend that they're looking at
Are you a
plays that they
stranger?
screwed up. But anyways,
The
I
smoke
think
woke
at
me.
times
Then it got
it's
cold,
overdone,
but I'm lonely.
and it does drive me crazy
Okay,
how coaches
let's
will
play.
wait
We have
forever
to wait for
to hear
nighttime,
whether or
though.
not they might want to challenge,
I
should
can't
challenge,
tell you
could challenge.
if you can find me first.
Well, you
I
see a
can tell
referee
you.
with their hand up, and you see a linesman at center ice hoping to drop the puck, and everybody's just waiting while the coach is like, wait. No, it's good. Drop the puck. Thanks. So, anyways, let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. As always, like and subscribe if you may not have done so already. I like for the game to have flow to it, and there are times where that flow gets absolutely cut off. And that's one of those things that I think does when the
Make my let go away.
taking all their time. And that's related to the iPads as well. So, let me know your thoughts about the players using them, whether you think
Never come here.
that they should be using. Thoughts, like and subscribe if you think you have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. I'll talk to you again.
You found me! Layla was trying to find me too, but I'm glad you found me first.
Second Wednesday.
Layla was
Panic
told to burn
Index.
Mommy
It's
and
been
me,
2
but
weeks
she
since I
didn't
did
want
the last
to.
Panic Index, so here we
She
are.
wanted to play with me forever and ever. She kissed me on the neck, And I got so cold that the fire didn't even hurt.
She's dead.
Leylette thought she
She's
could
dead.
take me and keep me. But
She's
she
a
can't.
vampire.
I'm all burned up. I'm tired. I'm gonna sleep for a while now.
Literally couldn't think of any better way to say it than this. Some California lawmakers are about to start playing
Leylette is dead.
the Los Angeles Angels. They want a name change, and we've heard this at the city council level.
I thought she left to join the Storm Club.
But now it's been escalated to the state of California level, and lawmakers
Alva
are
told me
really going
later
to start pressuring
that she
this
never...
baseball
You think
franchise
Alva?
to revert its name
Ye
back
gods.
to the Anaheim Angels. No,
No,
more Los Angeles
you're wrong.
Angels.
I
Or
refuse to
California
believe Alva had
Angels.
anything
That's
to do with
obviously
this.
wild.
There
They
is
want
no way you
Anaheim
can prove it to the
or
Jarl.
They want Anaheim or nothing else, I should say. As in, no more new stadium lease deals, no more options to purchase the land surrounding the stadium, no more stadium upgrades, no more anything. It's basically a dead end for the Angels, unless they change their name. By the way, what's in a name? For Anaheim to get the team to start calling itself the Anaheim Angels, or is the team so desperately want to be called the Los Angeles Angels? We'll explore both sides of this later on in the video. Here and now, it's the coverage from the Los Angeles Times. Bill Shaken, as expected, he's great, he's all over this. Here's what Bill says in the most recent piece. Assemblyman Avelino Valencia, whose district includes Angel Stadium, by the way, Mr. Valencia is a former city council member.
I'm the best warrior. You want me to prove it? I bet 100. Just your own two hands. Weapons and magic are out. Now let's see what you got. Come on, let's see what you're made of.
All of this is what we call home run Anaheim. So this is happening at the state level, obviously at the local level. They've been all over this for quite some time. While Anaheim Mayor Ashley Hagan has asked the city attorney to explore whether the Angels have violated their current lease. The Anaheim
I'll fix you good.
We'll talk about the name changes. The evolution of the name. Started out one way, California, Anaheim. Now it's obviously back to Los Angeles Angels. Not just Los Angeles. Mr. Valencia said to the Los Angeles Times, quote, the Angels have been supported by the city and its residents for 60 years. It's rightfully owed to residents that if the city wants to play in partnership with the elements of that stadium surrounding it, and the name should also resemble again, play the city. Los Angeles metropolitan area. You're also in SoCal. You're also in Orange County. So there are 8 choices, but they're very specific. And this is what they want. Team's name history looks like this. When they first came in 1961, they were the Los Angeles Angels. Didn't last long until they went a little bit more generic. From 65 to 96. Most of my initial childhood growing up, I remember that, was the California Angels. I knew that there's Northern California didn't play there. There's Southern California, so that was New York. That was the Padres from South in San Diego, but you couldn't associate this team with Southern California, Los Angeles metropolitan area, which does include Anaheim, which does Orange County, California Angels. Well, 97 they changed their name to the Anaheim Angels. They killed that until 2004. Right after the series, they were bought by Marty Moreno. They wanted to change the name, purchasing the team from Disney. Ran into some legal troubles and wanted to continue using the name Anaheim. So in 2005, he changed the team's name to the Los Angeles Angels.
You're a real fighter. I like that.
People still.
You ever need my steel by your side, you just ask.
The absurdity of that name, the Los Angeles
you got no
Angels
clothes. You should get some. Oh, well, you know. They haven't made me a guard, even though I've been asking. So I'll take odd jobs. Anything that comes.
Take on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Nobody's ever really called it that, but they had to legally do it that way to keep that name Anaheim. Eventually, they were able to escape it in 2016. They simply became,
on for now.
2016, they went back to 1965. They became the Los Angeles Angels all over again. We should also talk about what the Angels really want in terms of the stadium and the land surrounding it. By the way, Angels Stadium here, it's at big mass of land. And it's all that open space with the parking lots. That's because this is an old stadium. They don't build them like this anymore with all of this parking lot surrounding.
You lost?
This is the
Oh no, you don't.
Stadium right now. You've got Wrigley, you've got Fenway, and what comes after that? Dodger Stadium right up the road, and then it's Angel Stadium at number 4, and then Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City at number 5. Now, nobody's really desperately trying to replace Angel Stadium. This used to be a multi-purpose stadium that went all the way around. They cut out the outfield portions, they put the rock pile out there. Part of this, all of this, actually, I should say, to make it a baseball-only stadium happened in the late 90s and early 2000s. The former owner of this team, Disney, paid for that. That's why they got a lease extension, basically a free lease for the eternity of continuing to play there. We'll talk about their current lease deal, which they just re-upped on in just a second. But because Disney did the upgrades, and that's obviously the baseball field, because Disney did those upgrades, the Angels basically get to play here rent-free for all these years. And so it's a situation where the team probably wants to upgrade this, probably wants to build in the land surrounding this, but they don't have access to it because they don't own the stadium, they don't own the land surrounding it. The team is kind of trapped, and basically, as landlords now, the city of Anaheim is saying, change your name or else.
What?
No more upgrades here, no more ideas of development out here, and the team can't even buy the land. They were on track and on target to buy the land more than a handful of years ago. There was corruption. There was a situation with the former mayor of Anaheim.
Damn Stormcloak rebels.
For conspiring behind the scenes. That's for a different time and a different YouTube video. We've already documented it. But yeah, this has a long backstory.
In his
the team really wants this land. The team
didn't think
really
she had it
wants
in her.
Needs to do things
I assume you have proof.
But now
Can't
they
go.
can't.
So
if
it's
this
true.
law's going to go through without
Here,
changing their name.
you were
Morthal
is still in danger. The journal. I'll gather together some able-bodied warriors to clean out Morthal's lair. They'll be waiting outside for you to lead them. Till
Because
next
of those
time.
Disney-funded upgrades, which I think back in the day, in the late 90s, it was
Good
literally
morning.
like $100 million of upgrades. And that has
I'm not a
paid
pack
for
mule,
itself
you know,
so many times
despite
over
what the other guards say.
in free rent at this ballpark. They got to fix up the ballpark. When the Rams left, they made it baseball only. They got to keep the ballpark. They paid for it, and now basically free rent. But their current deal, which they kind of just re-upped on not too long ago, it goes through 2032 with the city of Anaheim, and there are team options to extend this lease all the way out until 2058. So as much as we talk about the city of Anaheim putting some pressure on the Angels, the state of California putting some pressure on the Angels, I mean, it's up
The
to
meal
them
is my
at this
responsibility.
point to stay there.
And that's what I
You've
care
been a
about.
good friend
That's
to
all.
me. That
Understand?
means something.
If you need any alchemy
As far
supplies,
as I
I'll do my
understand,
best
this
to
is
provide them.
for a new
Assuming
lease.
I
They've already
haven't
got
used
the
them.
current lease,
No. I just
signed
often don't have
in
much
ink,
to do, so
black and white.
next thing I
They'd have
know,
to change
I've
their
used up
name.
most of my stock.
Anything beyond 2038 or any other kind of developments would require, if this law passes, it would require the team to change its name. So let's get to the takeaways here. There's also something called the Surplus Lands Act, which does require that a certain amount of affordable housing be built if the areas surrounding Angel Stadium were to be sold to the Angels. If the city sold the land to a private company like the Angels baseball team, they have to make sure that enough affordable housing is built on this site. And that's just the way California law
Turned
is.
any heads in the world of
And
romance.
so the city is basically saying, the state is basically saying, hey, we will navigate around this a little bit. We will make sure that this part right here gets taken care of if you change your name. Like, they're really okay with, I think, moving forward on this land, moving forward on this project, if the Angels change
nice
their
to get
name.
out and see Skyrim.
And the city knows that
Wasn't sure if
Angels
I ever
owner
would.
Marty Moreno, he wants this land, he wants this control more than anything else. He's already owning the baseball team. They do quite well with attendance, and I guess television ratings are okay. They just bought their own television network. They bought former Fox Sports West, Valley Sports West, former FanDuel Sports West. Now it's whatever they're going to call it. Maybe they'll keep that name. But they just bought the network that owns and shows the Angels and Los Angeles Kings hockey games. They just bought the network. So more than anything else right now, what the Angels want is to own that stadium, is to own the surrounding land. That's what baseball is supposed to do. To have your stadium, but to have the real estate surrounding it, to build that ballpark district, that entertainment zone, retail,
commercial, residential. I should have gone back to the 3D flyover there, because that's basically what big league alerts across the country, they simply
should have come.
I'm just going to hold this team's head until they change their name. So what is the economic benefit, by the way, for the Angels as a baseball team to really lean in on Los Angeles? Why do they want Los Angeles so bad? Does it help them from a business sense, a marketing sense, a discoverability sense? I'm not exactly sure like what the tangible difference is. I understand the image, right? I understand, it just sounds like the Los Angeles Angels. So what? Would you have something if you called yourself an Angels? Everybody knows that Disneyland is in Anaheim. Nobody ever really says Disneyland is in Los Angeles. Thinking this California here, calling the Angels Los Angeles just in general is wrong, because we don't say that Disneyland is in Los Angeles. We say it's in either Southern California or Anaheim. We don't ever really say Disneyland is in LA, because that's not really proper. Anyway, but how about Anaheim? Like, why do they want this baseball team to be called Anaheim? So what does the city of Anaheim get out of this? More notoriety? I mean, the Ducks are doing their own development, OC Vibe, right across the way, right across the interstate there, right outside Honda Center. Is it an image thing for the city? Like, they want this? Is this all an ego trip on both sides? And I get it. Again, there might be small benefits here or there if the team uses Anaheim or if the team uses Los Angeles for their own purposes, but why do both sides want these naming rights so bad?
Over here!
You really have to convince me there is a tangible difference. The last one, consistent this baseball team, they're only going to be magnified over this. At one point, it was reported that the team would not allow city employees into the stadium to do inspections. Like, the city inspections the land. There's been here so many times. There's been a lot of butting heads. The team wants the win. The team wants the field. The city is very careful and cautious about going on this. And now, this law passes at the state level. And the employees will be stalemates between the state, the city of Anaheim, and this baseball team in terms of what the team is called, the options they have forward. I really do not see the Angels moving anywhere besides originally. And Long Beach has been mentioned, and the other options are out there. I do not see them moving, but I also don't see this going over well. Forcing the baseball team to change its name. I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know how this is going to go forward. Maybe it does with different government leadership. Maybe it does with different team ownership. And I don't know if either one of those things is going to happen.
What do you want me to carry?
In the future, but this is certainly something interesting to follow and watch. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Comment, like, and subscribe right now for daily Pro Brazil videos here on YouTube.
Lead on. Where are you?
First ever live WWE event. Navigating out main event in a steel cage. And no, it's Saturday night's main event, but yes, they did do the suplex on the cage, and it was awesome. I didn't just watch, I imprinted. Back then, the cage wasn't lowered, it was built. My crew, crowd was, and my brain decided right there and then, normal matches were fine, stipulations were the real dessert. Why have a wrestling match when you can have a concept? Ladder matches, war games. I quit. Anything with a rule sheet longer than friendly agreement, stipulations feel like wrestling wearing a party hat. Sometimes the hat fits. Sometimes it's like lampshade. Because for every brilliant cage war, there's a match where someone thought, put it. He said no. I'll always love a good stipulation. It proves a sacred truth. Some ideas belong in the ring. Some lucky I'm seeing for schedule for rest. Let's take a look at 7 stipulation matches WWE only used once. Number 1, Kennel from Hell. Kennel from Hell, not just a bad match, but a monument to Vince Kennedy McMahon's conviction that wrestling fans Watch literally anything. For the uninitiated, for those who have rightfully blocked this drama, this was a 1999 disaster piece of misery, pitting the Big Boss Man against Al Snow for the Hardcore Championship. The gimmick, standard steel cage, surrounded by a Hell in a Cell, with actual, presumably ferocious dogs controlling the space between the cages. The winner would be the man who's able to escape without being torn to shreds by the rabid hounds. Real horror was built. Storyline that should have gotten everyone involved with Sabina. Big Boss Man kidnapped Al Snow's beloved Trauma.
There you are.
The saga culminated with Boss Man fired Snow's hotel room revealed. Then revealed was a fact. Pepper steak, as he called it. It's a charming time. Yes, they served Al Snow with some dog. This wasn't just wrestling, it was a no-rent horror film written by someone with profound hatred for both animals and entertainment. The match itself was a botched, clumsy mess, with the main challenge seemed to be not tripping over the dogs, who were not ferocious. In fact, they were mainly peeing on the floor and humping one another. Years later, Snow would confess that the match could have worked. Dogs had been well trained and actually behaved the way the concept demanded, but because they didn't, largely just ignored the action and acted like, normal dogs, the whole thing fizzled into a comedy of errors rather than a terrifying spectacle. Number 2, VLC. Now, a lot of what you're going to see on this list is going to be gimmick matches that never saw the light of the day again because they were dumb concepts or they didn't lend themselves to good matches. This is not one of them. VLC is amazing. All right. When the WWE announced the VLC match for Extreme Rules 2014 on the pre-show, Wrestling World collectively tilted its head like a confused puppy. A TLC variant featuring Hornswoggle and El Torito, tiny ladders, tiny tables, tiny chairs, and a tiny ring announcer, tiny referee, and a tiny announcer. By all wrestling logic, VLC should have been a last crowd setting up a stipulation that puts 3FD and all Matadors and buddies in center stage, provides nothing but comedy spots, awkward pacing, the crowd chanting "Aw" in unison. Unlike the hour-long slugfest or high-flying aerial battles the fans crave, this should have been relegated to the deep end of the nostalgia pool. Instead, WWE perhaps inadvertently served surprise greatness. What made VLC transcendent wasn't just that the props were shrunk, it was that Hornswoggle and El Torito were treated like a gag. Still, big bumps, ladder spots, and table crashes like hardened veterans, embracing both the spectacle and the physicality in equal measure. The crowd in New Jersey, initially primed for rolling laughter, ended up chanting, "This is awesome." Not sarcastically. It was like the whole thing should have been the main event. Right? It was awesome. Even Triple H and some man reportedly gave a rare standing ovation backstage. Gesture over reserved for WrestleMania-level efforts. The match wasn't just better than the other Extreme Rules bouts that evening. It came with a pre-show highlight of the tiny epic that defied expectations. Hornswoggle himself never called it the best match of his career. Judging by how many fans rave about it, he included. It's got more life than some WrestleMania classics. In the end, VLC stands in line with the wrestling magic. Even the dumbest sounding idea can be amazingly executed with talent and combined. Even if the latter is outsized. Now, if you're enjoying this video, hey, who knows, maybe you're learning something. Hit the subscribe button and then nudge that notification bell. That's the best way to see what random ass wrestling knowledge we're going to be dropping next. Number 3, Crybaby match. Ever heard the whole joke where boxing grown men fight over a purse to their belt? This is kind of the opposite. There's a contest in WWE history that makes you ask, did anyone agree like this? I'm thinking about plot and dignity.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
February 1996. This was not a gimmick so much as an elaborate place for a nap.
By the age, I didn't think. Now maybe we can take this as a token of our gratitude.
And the loser would be dressed like
there is room in my court for a new one. However, I could only you help my people, and I'll make you mine. Good luck.
Fought each other and then transition into an infant pageant.
That which is unknown.
Surreal.
Some fear our new resident wizard. Time will prove me right.
And then placing him in a diaper, and you know, just know this was a Chris McMahon great job. He is on commentary, I'm loving it. He's wearing a diaper. Honestly, I can just remember watching this and hoping that when my family came into the room, they already hated wrestling enough as it was. They didn't need any more ammo. And the post-match diaper was played big.
It's nice to get out of Whiterun. I don't feel as trapped anymore.
Pride because, you know, it wasn't a happy baby match. It's a rare match never resurfaced under that name or format. Thankfully. Number 4, Indian broken glass arm wrestling match. Okay, maybe it's a stretch to call this one a match, but it took place between two wrestlers on SmackDown, so we're counting it. In the late summer of 2008, the WWE rolled out the
Yes.
glass arm wrestling contest on SmackDown. The stipulation names, it sounds like what happens. Crew was brainstorming after catching a double feature of over-the-top kickboxing 2. The match between Triple H and Great Khali was basically an arm wrestling match. Their hands were tied together, and there was the usual table, but the table was covered in shards of broken glass. And by Chekhov's gun's logic, that glass better be used, right? After all, you don't
Still here.
show up with a pile of glittery danger.
What do you want me to carry?
Intending to use it, except nobody ever ended up in the glass. The whole thing played out like 2 over-muscled action figures performing a hand-grip contest. A pile of broken glass set just on a table and front. Triple H and Khali locked hands, and as well, just looked like someone might hit the jagged stuff. Khali chickened out and cutting his way up the feet, and
You
basically
lead off.
the match into a let's fight like normal humans now. The table was overturned in a corner, and that was the last we'd see of the match's whole unique glass gimmick. This is what makes the Indian broken glass arm wrestling contest such a strange relic. WWT's violence.
The gods know. Jurgen and I both work hard, all the time. So, you're interested in my potions and ingredients.
That derailed into a bum rush. Broken glass sat there, unused, like a forgotten plot device. Precisely the opposite. Chekhov's gun, in theory, was meant to solve a narrative problem, i.e. add danger to a feud, but in practice, it's kind of collecting dust. No sequel has ever appeared under that name. The entire concept stands as a testament to WWE's willingness to flirt with absurdity, then pull back at the last second. Number 5, Eye for
Good
an
day.
Eye match. When the WWE announced the Eye for an Eye match,
Please don't mind Yorick. I don't. My brother is. We were taking him to the temple. Are you heading to Whiterun? Could you take this letter to the priestess? Thank you.
So, what do you get when you process?
That's it. Convince of submission to this popular extraction. In the media, famous for over-the-top spectacle, this was the sort of idea that should have been politely ushered into the garbage can or in a fish meeting. Even Seth Rollins admitted it sounded ridiculous. He said he was aghast when the concept was pitched to him. Thought it was ridiculous and a bit of a joke. Yes, because Seth, as a person who appreciates the company that frowns on bleeding, isn't going to let one dude pop an eye on another dude's face. Rollins didn't try to defend it by saying at the end of the day it was an ideal. No, did it catch people's attention? Sure. It ended up on TMZ, as though trending on tabloid websites was the creative equivalent of not insulting your audience. Rey Mysterio, meanwhile, called the whole thing very, very well, which has to be the most polite way to describe watching live and the match objective. Fan reaction, everybody thought it was kind of dumb, but at least they were able to tell how the company was going to pull it off. The answer was kind of a half-assed, Seth pressing Rey's face.
Fine dating. Hello, child of Kina. Yorick's sister? Thank you for this.
In the end, WWE
Something for your trouble.
prostate exam was pivotal, but that doesn't mean I think
Grace of Kinneret be with you.
time. Wrestling will contempt the stipulation. I mean, unless you count Vader and Stan Hansen that one time, then yes, you're welcome 3 times.
What is it,
Photo from that match. Number 6, the holiday topless top rope match. I mean, if we're being honest, we could fill this list with perfect Davis stipulations. It only happened one time, and that's a huge list. We got the eggnog match, the Lumberjill Snow Bunny match, the Wet Wild Tag Team match. But if we're narrowing it down to just one, we are going with the holiday topless top rope match. Hey, what better way to celebrate the birth of the guy who go on to die for our sins, then with this, now let me set the stage. Mention getting a command's dog Stephanie McMahon, turned and father Blake. Together, they ran the show with an iron fist. Part of this was Triple H implementing his brainchild, Holiday Tops top rope match. The rules were simple. Two men wrestled while their female partners stood on the entrance ramp. Every time one of the men jumped over the top rope, the partner would have to jump off a piece of her clothing. Custom, right? Nothing says the holiday spirit like incentivized roping. By the basic ring psychology, the segment involved terrible That's name. Two women were hired to manage, speak, and occasionally wrestle. Frequently handled relations that looked like they were brainstormed during an episode of USA Up All Night. Tarek was assigned to strip.
You know, there's a skeleton under the bridge at Dragon Beach.
Val Venus. Honestly, kudos to them for getting people who care about a Val Venus hardcore Holly match. All it took was two half-naked women. Now, if you're wondering how this whole fiasco made Triple H into a heel, because surely someone who's responsible for something like this during the Attitude Era would be the most over guy in the company. Well, when it was time for Ruby to lose her bra, Triple H would hold up his jacket so only he got a show, which he would say, "Do you see what I see?" Well, you don't. You're a bunch of idiots. I love it. I love that they brought
What
the
do you
holiday
need, my
fade full
friend?
circle. Now, unlike bra and panties matches that became a recurring sideshow, this particular stipulation quietly vanished. No annual tradition, no sequel, no holiday top rope.
Got some good pieces. Blades, helmets, pretty much anything to suit your needs.
Number 7, housekeeping match. Let's talk about the two housekeeping Intercontinental Championship match between Jeff Jarrett and China for No Mercy 1999. Stipulation, it sounds like someone has to focus on, hey, you want a woman to win a men's title, you still kind of want to be dicks about it. Rules were
Don't forget to check inside the shop if you need anything.
As weapon, which led to one of the oddest false finishes ever.
Welcome. We've got small, the finest weapons and armor.
Continental title only for Teddy Long. Stop the match because the title is a big housekeeping item. I mean,
good doing business with you.
Hi, see any dragons lately?
Was basically a yard sale gone wrong.
I'm not sworn to carry your burdens, but I guess I can.
Some flour and eggs got thrown around like a show hosted by two people who hate each other. Then came the twist. It elevates this from zany to
I've got your back. What you want me to carry?
This logic apparently took a coffee break. China wins with a guitar shop, which somehow it's a household item according to the rule book. And I mean, yeah, I have a guitar in my household too. Even your Intercontinental title. In the end, the match was memorable for its chaos and for giving China Intercontinental title, which is historic, but mostly for being the only good housekeeping match that was ever booked. And WWE has never revisited the stipulation, likely because even the writers realized that having to communicate with a guitar for some cleaning supplies is just not sustainable direction. Right, can you think of any other insane stipulation match that WWE only used one time? If so, please let us know in the comments section below. Also,
lead on.
To this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel.
You look like maybe the finest weapons and armor.
We'd love to see you again. Till next time, I am Signor Siete for 7 Race. Saying bye.
Wrestling is difficult enough. What with having to go out and physically perform in front of strangers in your tiny pants and all, but to do it with a well-right despise, I cannot even fathom the thought of it. And yet it happens, from those paying their dues on the indies right up to those who have main evented WrestleMania. Sometimes the names were bestowed upon them, other times the wrestlers did it to themselves. I'm Ross Tweddle, and while
I don't
here,
claim to
why
be
does
the
my
best
surname sound
craftsmith
so
in
much like
Whiterun.
Tweedle? Never got over it. I'm Tweedledum from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are wrestlers who hated their own ring name. Join us!
Take a good look around. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. Everything's for sale, my friend. Some may call this junk. Me, I call them treasures.
Having initially wrestled under a mask as Mr. Olympia, Jones was given a new moniker early in his pro wrestling journey. He wanted to use AJ, which was what everyone called him anyway, and was his nickname from his time playing on the high school football teams. With AJ, he needed a surname, and it was when he was tagging with another guy whose name was Steele that the promoter christened him AJ Styles. But as the phenomenal one revealed during an episode of WWE Untold, he hated the name. He thought it sounded quirky and not cool at all. Spelled S-T-Y-L-E-S, not S-T-I-L-E-Z, because that would have given him more street cred, I assume. AJ Styles did greet him, however, and it was the one he used throughout a legendary and long career that saw him wrestle for WCW, TNA, New Japan, WWE, and many other promotions around the world. Number 9, Terry Runnels. Being a TV star in WWE during the Attitude Era is a double-edged sword. Yes, business performing in front of sellout crowds and merchandise money. The accountants at Titan Towers could count it, but you could also be called something like Beaver Cleavage, Puke, or Meat. After ditching IRL husband Goldust, Marlena began going by her real name Terry Runnels, and soon joined forces with Jacqueline, who had just ended her union with Mark Miro, to form the Pretty Mean Sisters, or PMS for short. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what PMS stands for, what are you watching wrestling videos on YouTube for? I mean, what are you, 6 years old or something? Come on now. A double-meaning Russo-penned acronym, PNS was supposed to simultaneously stand for Pretty Mean Sisters as well as Syndrome. Runnels is on record as saying she not only hated the name, which she found gross, understandably so, unsuccessfully, of course, to change it. Number 8, Laurel Van Ness.
Do come back.
Green has, deservedly so, received a lot of credit for taking anything she gets given and making it work. A master
We kill the dragon
of
once,
her
we can do
minutes,
it again.
using whatever TV time she has to get over. Chelsea has, on occasion, had to work with something she really doesn't like. Her old name, for example. Having originally wrestled as Jada and under her own name on the Indies, Green was given a new guise when she joined Impact Wrestling in 2016. The hot mess, Laurel Van Ness, Chelsea realised the character work was her forte, but she really didn't like the name. As Green explained to Chris Van Vliet, she had always wanted an alter ego, but hated the Laurel Van Ness name to her core. Having originally wanted to be called Whitney, which she felt was the name of a rich girl, Chelsea credits Madison Rain for coming up with Laurel Van Ness, which was originally...
You're different, aren't you? Not like anyone else. Not in Morthal or Skyrim.
Being an exaggerated version of herself these days. Number 7, Ricochet. Sometimes a one-word ring name can actually do the trick. Just think of some of the greats the business has seen.
Then by my right, I grant you this. I'll also notify my guards of your new title. Wouldn't want them to think you're part of the common rabble.
Anything else, especially Mantar, because of, you know, the half-man, half-bull thing. It's great stuff. When a young Trevor man was trying to come up with a name for himself,
Busy. I do what I can to see that there aren't any houses for sale in Morthal. Excellent. We're glad to have you as a landowner in Gilmarch. Here's the title to your steady.
Yara has appointed me to be your housecarl. It's an honor to serve.
He actually hated the name Ricochet at first. No specific reason was given, but Ricochet went on to say that since then it had grown to be part of him as much as his birth name. It's worth noting while wrestling under a mask for Shikara and Lucha Underground, and adopted the names Helios and Prince Puma, which are pretty gnarly, aren't they? Number 6, Caden Carter. Ricochet isn't the only superstar
I just want to be left alone to do my job, and to enjoy what little free time I have when I have it.
Others have not been so lucky, falling victim to the notorious NXT random name generator. Alyssa Lane, a former college basketball star who wrestled as Lacey Lane, was yet another who found herself performing under a name she didn't really like. Now you might think Kaylin Carter is actually
I'd be a lot
better
warmer
names
and a
a
lot happier
prospective
with a
talent
belly full
could be
of
given,
meat.
and you might be right. But
Can I
Lane
help
didn't
you?
see things that way. As she explained after her WWE release, Lane was basically told she needed a name.
Papa says that I shouldn't
on
keep waiting.
NXT TV.
Why not?
A writer sent her
Mom
a
has
list
to
of
come
about
home
10 names for
sometime.
her to rank, and she put Caden right at the bottom. Naturally, that's the one the writer picked, with Carter coming because she shared a basketball number with NBA legend Vince Carter. It's really not that bad, but it wasn't the one she wanted, and she even used the H word to describe her feelings for Caden Carter. Number 5, Thurman Sparky Logan. Bob Holly had been out of the business for close to a year and a half, but a tape of his matches made its way into the hands of WWE management. During a short meeting, Holly spoke about his love of car race, which gave WWE executive J.J. Dillon the idea to make him a dual sport superstar who went pedal to the metal, both in the ring and behind the wheel. No gimmicks or names were discussed during the meeting, but when Holly received his contract offer, he spied the name Thurman
Have you seen my mother?
Logan.
I'm still waiting for her to
The
come.
gods know what you've done.
With his new name, he put pen to paper on the deal because he knew
The
that
meal
signing
is
with
my
WWE
responsibility.
was his
And
chance
that's
to
what
make
I
it in
care
the big
about.
time.
That's all.
It
Understand?
certainly paid off, as
I
Holly
just
was
want to be
around for a
left
good
alone to do my
15
job.
years
To
before
enjoy
being
what little
released.
free time I have when
He
I have
did admit to being slightly embarrassed when disclosing his first ring name to members of the public. Thankfully, he dropped the race car shtick and he got the much better sounding name of Hardcore Holly a relatively short while later. Number 4, Becky Lynch. If you can't or don't want to keep your own legal name as your stage name, the next best option might be to retain part of it. That was the thinking of Rebecca Quinn, who had wrestled on the Indies as Rebecca Knox when she reported to NXT in 2013. She didn't get to use Rebecca and said she was settled for the short Becky, which she was fine with. As for the Lynch part, not so much.
Alright.
It's revealed that she prefers using her nicknames as opposed to her actual wrestling name
May the
because
gods
she hates it.
doing some
Claiming
building,
that Lynch
eh?
doesn't roll off
We
the
can
tongue
deliver
well
it.
enough.
I'll have them
Becky
hauled
noted
over
that
right
she
away.
supplied a list of
Doing
what
some
she
building,
thought
eh?
were super
I'll
cool
have them
names,
hauled over right
all
away.
of which were
Doing some
rejected
building,
until
eh?
WWE opted to
I'll
go for
have them
Becky
hauled over
with
right
something that
away.
was commonly
Doing
Irish,
some building,
Lynch,
eh?
that got the nod.
I'll have them
Being
hauled
time
over
Beggs,
right away.
at the time, didn't feel as though she had the political pull to object the call and just
Until next
suck it
time.
up. Again, it's one of those that, as an impartial observer, sounds pretty damn good for a wrestling name, especially one for that era of NXT, but the man herself, she wasn't so keen. Number 3, No Way Jose. When Levi's Valenzuela Jr. got into wrestling, he, like many, wanted to be The Rock, an ultra-charismatic top guy with a bunch of cool catchphrases and a badass name. But, having wrestled as Manny Garcia on the Indies, Levi's was at the mercy of the NXT creative team when he signed with WWE. And, as we are all well aware by now, the NXT creative team were not particularly merciful at the best of times. As he explains it, Matt Bloom asked him what he thought of the name No Way Jose, which Valenzuela initially thought was a catchphrase. He said no, knowing full well that it would pigeonhole him moving forward. Then, an NXT writer asked him, and again, he said no. But then he said hello to Paul Levesque at an NXT taping, who responded, no way, what's going on? And let the newcomer know that the name had been approved. Jose thought, no way, but had to grin and bear it and pretend that he loved it if he wanted the chance to conquer walk his way to fame and fortune. Number 2, The Big Show. Now this is a weird one because The Big Show is The Big Show in the way that a chair is a chair or a stair is a stair. They're weird names when you think about it, but it's just what they are because they've been around for so long. When Paul White jumped from WCW to WWE, he knew he wouldn't be able to take his WCW name with him. The Giant was Ted Turner's intellectual property, and initially, WWE just had him go by his shoot name until they came up with something better. Or maybe something different, it's not necessarily better. A bunch of alternatives were kicked around, but the world's largest athlete learned of his fate when Vince McMahon greeted him with "How's the Big Show today?" in the hallway. White didn't know who the hell the Big Show was until Vince explained it to him. Per McMahon, White was an athlete, huge, could talk, and was charismatic, thus he was the Big Show. This definitely wasn't the case of seeing someone who made their name in WCW arriving at a new company, and that company, in comparison to Paul's former home, being the Big Show. No, don't get confused. The former WCW heavyweight champion walked away hoping it wasn't his new wrestling name, but no such luck. Of course, it's a credit to White, and I guess the WWE, that the Big Show worked as well as it did. White may have initially hated it, and it did take him a few years to get comfortable in his new home, but it definitely suited him and paved the way for a manner of lucrative merchandising opportunities. Yes, we'll put it that way. Number 1, the Ringmaster. When WWE signed Steve Austin in late 1995, they didn't really see him as being a future superstar, let alone the biggest star in the entire wrestling business. They brought the former WCW standout in to be a mechanic, which is basically a solid in-ring worker to have decent mid-card matches and make the baby faces look good. Austin knew the name was a dud, and that there was absolutely no longevity in being the Ringmaster. Literally, the master of the ring. Though he did have to tolerate it during his first few months in the company. It was after watching a documentary on ruthless hitman Richard the Iceman Kuklinski, partly no longer stunning Steve, saw an opportunity for a new gimmick, and thus a new ring name. WWE were not hot on the Iceman, since there had already been the Iceman King Parsons. The company sent Austin 3 pages of absolutely atrocious name ideas, including the likes of Otto von Ruthless, Ice Dagger, and perhaps most infamously, Frost. Not Frost, it's Frost Dracula. Steve's new name came about by happenstance after his then wife told him to drink his tea before it got stone cold. But look or not, he was just happy to set the Ringmaster for good, and that's the bottom line, because Chili Book 3 said so. The old axiom of never say never really is quite true when it comes to WWE, especially when it comes to the return of stars who were once in the bad books. Very few in WWE have not made a return in some form or fashion, and there are usually second or even third chances for those who live in controversial circumstances. Whether they do so voluntarily, all are shown the door. I'm Sam Driver from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are WWE stars who returned after controversial exits. Join us. Michael Hayes. As one of the first groups to marry rock with wrestling, it made sense for WWE to bring in the fabulous Freebirds during their own rock and wrestling period in 1984. Well, it made sense on paper, but there were forces preventing them from achieving success in WWE, namely themselves. Hard-partying Hellraisers outside the ring, Bam Bam Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts, and especially Michael P.S. Hayes had a reputation that preceded them, and ultimately ensured that their WWE tenure was assured. When Hayes showed up at a house show in no condition to perform just a few weeks into their run, he was called out by Andre the Giant, who was an agent for the night, and subsequently questioned about it by Vince McMahon. The Freebirds actually quit, but Hayes decided the right thing to do was for them to honour their existing bookings and agreed to come back. McMahon, however, told Hayes that he didn't trust him and fired them instead. It would be more than a decade before Hayes got another opportunity in WWE as TV host and commentator back in Hendrix. In time, of course, he became a trusted member of the inner circle and is still regarded as one of the company's most important backstage figures. The Ultimate Warrior. If ever there was a case study of WWE's ability to put differences aside in the pursuit of making money, it was the Ultimate Warrior. Warrior became a major star for WWE, but as had been well documented, he would hold his worth, or at least his perceived worth, leading to fallouts. Yet, no matter how many times they fell out, Warrior would invariably be brought back because Vince McMahon had a soft spot for Jim Hellwig's hard body. Warrior left WWE the first time temporarily following SummerSlam 91, after making a list of demands regarding pay and position that McMahon felt were unreasonable. He returned at WrestleMania 8, but would be gone by that year's Survivor Series after WWE obtained evidence that he was using human growth hormone during a time when the company were under intense scrutiny and taking a zero-tolerance approach to performance-enhancing drugs. Of course, Warrior Jim would be back another time, returning for an ill-fated run in '96 that ended when Warrior missed several house show bookings. In the years after, there were threats, lawsuits, and even a full-blown DVD character assassination. But Warrior, his actual name after legally changing it, would come back once more for a Hall of Fame induction. Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero had established himself as a world-class in-ring talent long before he made it to WWE, thanks to his work in AAA, New Japan, ECW, and WCW. Unfortunately, WWE fans didn't really get to see the best of Eddie the first time around. There were occasional moments for Latino heat, no doubt, but Guerrero was hurting and attempting to hide an addiction that was the consequence of coming back to the ring too early from a car crash that, by rights, should have killed him. Eventually, Eddie's addictions became too hard to hide, and after he turned up to a Raw taping in no condition to perform, the former Intercontinental Champion was sent to rehab. Guerrero was prepping for his comeback 6 months later when he got a DUI and was duly fired. WWE feeling as though they had no alternative but to let him go. His professional and personal life in tatters, the only thing Eddie knew to do was to wrestle and to try and rebuild his reputation on the indies and overseas. After committing to cleaning himself up, impressing everyone with his in-ring performances and temperament, Guerrero was rehired and went on to enjoy the most successful spell of his career. Steve Austin. Come the spring of 2002, Steve Austin was physically and mentally fried. Stone Cold had been running hard since returning to the ring full-time in late 2000, and his neck, back, and knees, and probably everything else, was hurting hard. Compounding this, Austin was growing more and more disillusioned with WWE's creative direction by the day. This had caused him to no-show the Raw after WrestleMania 18. Injured tricks. Someone do something. When the Texas Rattlesnake was asked to put over Brock Lesnar on Raw in a King of the Ring qualifying match with no build, he balked and then walked. Austin's decision to take his ball and go home as a result upset those within WWE to no end, and the company quickly set about bashing him on air, including a hit piece on their Confidential TV show. Tensions were high, and Austin had other issues to address in his personal life at the time, making a reconciliation in the short term very unlikely. But this is wrestling, and both parties knew that they could make serious money together. So, some 9 months after flying himself from Atlanta, Georgia to Houston, Texas, Austin returned to a WWE ring. There have been peaks and valleys in the relationship between the promotion and Star after, but Austin has been involved in WWE in some way ever since. Stable. When Mark Nero flew to the company's headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut to sign his WWE contract in early 1996, he took his lovely wife Rena with him. The second the blonde bombshell walked into his office, Vince McMahon knew he had to put her on TV, and she was duly signed on to act as a husband's screenplay. Though she was initially there to enhance the wild man, Stable over time became the true star of the pair. In truth, one of the biggest stars in the company during the Attitude Era. She was attracting big ratings and selling a gazillion Playboy magazines, but the Meros weren't happy and had designs on Rena conquering Hollywood. Sable acrimoniously left WWE in June of 1999 and filed a $110 million lawsuit alleging an unsafe working environment and sexual harassment, among other things. The suit was settled out of court, but the general belief was that Sable, who was not well liked backstage, would never be seen at a WWE ring again. But almost 4 years later, after the whole Hollywood thing had not worked out, Sable shockingly returned. She stuck around for a year, during which time she posed for Playboy once more, and also met and fell in love with Brock Lesnar. Jamie Noble. Jamie Noble really was one of the unsung heroes of the Ruthless Aggression era. Alongside his kayfabe girlfriend Nydia, Noble was a riot in promos, segments, and angles. In the ring, their Messiah was very consistent and had a series of difficult matches with fellow cruiserweights like Rey Mysterio, Billy Kidman, and Tajiri. Far from the biggest body on the roster, Noble was nevertheless steroids to enhance his physique. And WWE, there was no actual testing policy in place at the time, and pretty much everyone else was on the gas. But Jamie inadvertently snitched on himself. After being treated for a staph infection or stiff by one of his cousins, Noble sought treatment and then brought the bill to WWF. In the medical reports, Noble's doctor indicated the infection came about as a result of a steroid deal, and WWE felt they had no choice but to let Noble go because there could be insurance ramifications if they paid the bill. The former Cruiserweight champion was basically told he'd be rehired after a certain period of time, with the condition he didn't sign for TNA, and he was back in the fold a little over a year later. He remains there to this day as a backstage producer. Charlie Haas. Charlie course, alongside his brother Russ, but he had to find double success with a host of other partners after Russ's tragic death in 2001. Haas became something of a tag specialist on SmackDown, forming alliances with Shelton Benjamin, Rico, and Hardcore Holly. A solid mid-card hand on the Blue brand, Haas had found love on the road and married Tough Enough 2 co-winner Jackie Gader in June of 2005. The happy couple had just returned from their honeymoon when, on July 8th, both Charlie and Jackie were wished the best of luck in their future endeavours, along with a host of other mid-card talent. Not only was it quite the come-down after a romantic getaway to the West Indies, they left both newlyweds without a job in the short term. WWE were criticised for being callous for releasing them at the same time, and Haas himself questioned the company's decision-making, as well as the competency of the writing team. Haven't we all, eh? But despite his outspokenness, the former WWE Tag Team Champion hadn't burnt his bridge and was rehired in April of 2006. Jeff Hardy. A young Jeff Hardy was often likened to Shawn Michaels. Such was the potential the talented and charismatic Flyer was believed to possess. Shining alongside his brother Matt during the Attitude Era, Jeff often looked like he could be the next Heartbreak Kid when entering scintillating performances that featured spectacular moves and stunts. The downside of all those big bumps in ladder and TLC matches meant that by the time the charismatic Enigma was flying solo on Raw in 2002, his body was starting to break down. Hardy was also fighting a losing battle with his motivation and started to stray from the right path. He began missing shows, and when he did show up to work, often late, it was obvious to everyone that Jeff was under the influence of something. He then failed drug tests and was suspended, with WWE requesting that he check into rehab. When he refused, they washed their hands of him and he was released in April 2003. The charismatic Enigma was gone for over 3 years before WWE felt he'd sufficiently got his act together and hired him back. Test. For a hot minute there, it looked like Test could have been a true breakout WWE star. But after starting a storyline romance with Stephanie McMahon and feuding with her brother Shane, Test was gazumped by Triple H and began a rivalry from the game. Naturally, Hunter easily beat his adversary, making him look like a total chump in the process, and the big man began his slide. Over the next few years, he teamed with Albert in TNA, tagged with Booker T, joined the Un-Americans, and then began a seemingly never-ending storyline with Stacey Keebler and Scott Steiner. In 2004, Andrew Martin began experiencing serious neck pain, and in July of that year, underwent a fusion surgery under the very capable hands of Walter. While he was still on the shelf and rehabbing, Test was informed by Talent Relations Chief John Laurinaitis that the company were letting him go. Surprisingly, Martin was furious with the decision, given that he literally broke his neck for WWE, with many in the industry believing that his release was wholly unfair and set a dangerous precedent. Test publicly complained about his firing, but ultimately concluded that business is business when he accepted an offer to come back in March of 2006. Roddy Piper. During the match between Hulk Hogan and Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania 19, Roddy Piper shocked the world by showing up in WWE for the first time in close to 7 years. Hot was back in the mix, feuding with Fixer and Rikishi as he led his new protege Sean O'Haire into battle. One of the biggest names of the 80s and early 90s, Piper might not have been his old dynamic self in the ring, but he still had a presence, cut a great promo, and often old school fans a healthy hit of nostalgia. The Remedy Scott's work would prove to be a short one, however. Not because of some wild outside the ring incident or a massive bug with management. No, Roddy Piper was fired because he told the truth. WWE cut bait with Piper even though he was working on a handshake deal but not signed a proper contract, because he gave a candid interview to the HBO Real Sports Show discussing his past drug usage and the epidemic of early deaths in the wrestling industry. WWE tried to spin it via a statement on their website that they were trying to save Piper from himself. The statement was eventually deleted following much criticism, while Roddy remained on the outs but easily came back for WrestleMania 21 weekend. Brock Lesnar. From the get-go, Brock Lesnar received preferential treatment from WWE. Heavily recruited by Gerald Briscoe, the NCAA Division I heavyweight champion wrestler was given the highest downside guarantee ever for a rookie, $250,000 per year. Fast-tracked through the developmental system, the company continued to accommodate the next big thing.
Wrestling was entertaining. What I do now is life change. There's no way to go for a person. Your plan for my every rest of your life. What seems to be. You keep it going. I just think that the rock bottom. So if that was the rock bottom, when did you feel like you were on top of it? It kind of feels Johnny B. Bad. Do you think fans are more familiar with your work at WCW or WWE? I don't think the fans remember me as Johnny B. Bad going to the WWE. Everything was just I'm flying everywhere. I'm flying. And I started realizing that's the worst feeling in the world. There was a romantic angle with this romantic. That was comforting. That was comforting. I took my back to my son and shared that for the rugby. She met Rock. That's how that ended the divorce. How did you find out? What compromise I'm living? You inspire somebody who inspires me.
Hey guys, wait, here is exactly what you'll hear. Did you go to the next Inside Live in Las Vegas? Yes! Amen! It's our special guest for Inside Live the Thursday of WrestleMania week, April 16th at Circa Casino Las Vegas. It is also the place to watch WrestleMania if you're not going to the show. Yes, watch parties are back on. Watch night 1 and night 2 here at Stadium Swim on a 143-foot screen with the beautiful pools right in front of it. Grab your tickets now at cdbtix.com. That's cdbtix.com. And doesn't matter if obviously you're ready. Hey, watch what you're doing. Ticket. Maybe after the show. This never happens. So grab your VIP tickets now. Hang out with me and the after the show in Las Vegas. Also grab your tickets for the show in Tampa.
Oh shit, there's two dragons.
See you there. This was so long. Finally, see you. It did really well, but it still did. Well, that Mother's Day video gets me all the time. The Mother's Love, which is it's full circle.
It's really dead.
Talk to me about that and how Dallas and his team from I've never seen that change things. Well, I was in the floor.
Fuck is this dude?
Don't look it up.
I'm staying here in Georgia. I goes to a remote conservatives. And Steve Q, who works in Dallas Park, said, hey, I'll be out there. So I was able to keep out and there's a couple of these schools that we went to. And they came out to them. They first. And I was going to go to grow. And I was going to walk my way to I said, sure. I said, it's being was taking it just this video is so beautiful. And next thing you know, he calls me back and a day later, the shooting grade was bro, the video is 100,000. Send it to me like on the YouTube channel. Anyways, the next thing you know, accumulate, it just explodes where one day we just decide to go see how to see what's here. It's all it's just incredible.
It's so easy to relate to. Everybody has
there's a little piece of everything.
For sure.
Can I help you?
Treat us how we take it for
I'm doing some.
Sometimes we just don't realize how important it is. How we treat each other. It's really about violence.
There's a line in that video. It gets me. I no longer live in time. What does that mean?
We're always thinking about the next day, next year, or only just
This damn war has cost us. Me,
66 years old.
my boy, doing some building, eh? I'll have them hauled over right away. Doing some building, eh? We can deliver it wherever you need. I'll have them hauled over right away. Doing some building, eh? We can deliver. I'll have them hauled over right away. Doing some building, eh? I'll have them hauled over right away. Doing some building, eh? I'll have them hauled over right away. Doing some building, eh? I'll have them hauled over right away. Doing some building, eh? I'll have them hauled over right away.
And there's this quote I always come back to.
Doing some building, eh? I'll have them hauled over right away. Doing some building, eh? I'll have them hauled over right away. Doing some building, eh? I'll have them hauled over right away.
You've had so much loss, you've had so much pain, but you show up with a smile on your face, and you live in such a spirit of joy all the time. Is that
well, first and foremost, I'm Christian. I give my life back. I grew up Jewish. I grew up Moses, but I grew up Jewish. And my last name is Americans. I'm sure I will. But when I give my life to Christ, everything changed. But I do, that's
A fine steading like this needs a good steward. I'd be happy to take on that position if you'd like.
Little brother and sister, they both died at 21. Mother died
of course. I didn't mean to meddle in your private affairs.
Us guys aggressive against the business that has done. Somebody hit me hard. Eddie Guerrero was just such a light in the world, having so many great backs with Eddie. Some of the guys that we just battled with the whole time and they're gone. It's just you realize how precious life is.
But you show up with a smile on your face all the time.
Well, what's it? I look at what's the alternative.
There's a lot of people living in that alternative. Yes. A lot of people that are just upset about what they have or what they don't have, and they're focused on, a lot of people focus on the things they don't have. You just have this such a light.
Well, thank you. I realize that there be so many schools and so many investigations. The audience, things also comes out from me. You gotta come out there and just get a lot of energy.
And where have you been? Have you traveled
I should start spending
far?
I should always be this it's really changed. The presentation is like
So for people who don't know, where did this start for you? Where did you start speaking to students?
I don't think I'm changed for the same thing. That's my experience for and I became a trainer. And
this is post wrestling?
Yeah. Take a break, Steve.
Yeah.
This story's great. What's happening is after I lost everything, when I say lost everything, one where I get billions of dollars. And after wrestling, a divorce, I just like squandering. Taking trips, listening to gambling, and just living a horrible life. And the next thing I know, I'm running out of money. $200 grand, which means that means that they're doing this is not living that lifestyle. And one of the things to just to have something to buy this little possibility of making floating. The gym would upset me. Just like what the gold is gym. People come and go to go, oh my gosh,
I'm glad I'm here instead of sweeping Dragon's Reach for the third time today.
It was a humbling experience, but training I love and strange. And that's where camp started. But what happened was I got a call from that point, high school football coach, and he asked me to come and speak to his players. I thought that was pretty cool. So I go and speak to him. No plan, no presentation, no spoken. So I think kids. And so I started getting messages on Facebook saying it's really changed my life, it really inspired me. And even I was to eat that coach called another school and said, you should come and speak to your players because come speak to the whole school. Next school says, and of course, I video was viral.
I'm glad I got to ditch that wooden sword. Can't say it turned any heads in the world of romance.
Been doing this for 15 years, and up into the pandemic, we managed just like being wrestling. God. And I remember going for wrestling, I thought that's because he had more carnage in my last one with WWE. If you look at Ryan, that's cool. Just about I've seen Europe so many times in Southeast Asia, South Africa, but all of those women, just thinking, just not doing it. Next thing you know, I'm back on the road again.
Did you have any plan for what life after wrestling was going to look like?
Oh man, first of all, life. That's when I really fell into drugs again. Walked away from God. I just lived a horrible life. Just I let myself go. Out of shape, out of life, out of time. I was just there. I remember the kid with one where I just didn't want anything. I've seen so many people in my life, of course, going through the divorce and going through all that. It's just like the depression got so bad that I just because people blame, it's resentment. And all these things that come together. I know some of the folks listening to this right now. That's going through that, or maybe I'm going through that. And I came to the point where I just remember that I just wanted to think that it was Christmas Day. And I drove to Oakville Beach, Florida, which was Saturday. And the waves just rolling in. And the list of Oakville, Christmas was always so big in wrestling, I was going to the divorce. It's all part of it. I think it's been just want to be I didn't know how anything was
What's on your mind?
Sorry, lad. I've got important things to do. We'll speak another time.
Next thing you know, when the schools get opened up, I'm going to get back to that little office building. It's your story. So fast forward.
Welcome to the cozy little I give special rates to members of the Thieves Guild. Show me what you've got.
And that's about the money for 10 years. There's more dollars. It's $14,000. Exactly what I bought. All these years. So it's an incredible story. It's just how the life is turned out. Things are just, you just wonder how this happened. Really great things are meant to be. So anyone out there that's it's got to be.
With that day, Christmas Day 2003 was at your rock bottom also.
It was the rock bottom. The rock bottom. I got a basement. That was it.
Because you didn't just think about things for a second. You were ready to do it.
It was going through so much pain. have someone in your life that just share with you. And not saying that they're working with this TV or whatever, but sometimes you feel like they're more. They're going to sob stories, and I held so much inside. It's the worst thing because when I deal with a lot of stuff, it's really know that it's
until next time.
Looking for the blades, helmets, pretty much anything to suit your needs.
Even if you're one of us, you better not make trouble.
Did you feel like we were on top of the Yeah?
First of all, here I am, a boxer from Illinois, right? And, you know, my boxing career was over 10 years in the drug addiction. And the next thing you know, I found drugs so much pleasure.
Yeah, you need something?
Some professional wrestling. No, stop there. Let me see this. Let me tell Jim. I go, guys, I can do that. My buddies are still my buddies today. It's not right. It's the size of those guys. That looks like a road warrior on a TV that jabs from their ears coming down. You know, it's just like those guys. Like, I think of them just throwing around and
buying and selling fine jewelry here.
Someone do something. Buy armor from getting on. Don't hurt me.
Hey, if anyone asks,
somebody help!
I have no idea.
Change my so it's always about taking the wrestling spot one. I was in Venice. I was a wrestling Force Malingo came to Joe
Victory is yours, I submit!
The wall across all of physical sports. Force Malingo had to get in the ring, and they kept watching arms and changes. And I saw this trained me, taught me, we could try. I was a job. Drive 9 hours from Venice to center stage in Atlanta. Television. And that's what they did on television. They really gave me a cut in my matches when Dusty Rhodes would come and say, they can't do anybody ever tell you that if there's something about wrestling, I never heard of rituals. You don't do a ritual. You know, probably not. All this thing here. Who's ever told me this? That's how you became. That's how you became John. Wow. From going from $20,000 in 15 swimming pools, you know, to becoming a multi-billionaire investor. Because that's really so good. Anybody's done it wrong. So that can change your life. Gosh, I just select this one. Obviously, we're very rich in Christ. And so, personally, they all thought I was black. You know, being so dark and tan, and the little Richard Gibbons, you were very tan. Yes, to this day, I come to places, some of those character wrestling films.
We're now less than 2 months away from WrestleMania, and check out where I was sitting last year.
I don't claim to be. Take a look.
Seen 17 kicks out here, but you know how this match ends. I'm zoomed in a little bit. Great seats here from SeatGeek, and that's why I want to give a huge shout out to them for sponsoring this video. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events, including concerts.
Don't forget to check inside the shop if you need anything.
Festivals, and more. So check this out right here. This is SmackDown in a few weeks. Tickets start at $40.
Divine smile on you, friend.
Here. And the cool thing about SeatGeek is they got your back. Every ticket is rated.
Let me know if you see anything you like.
So you know if you're getting a good deal or not.
Take a look.
Means good. Red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, yes, I've got a code for you. The code is CBB for 10% off your next set of tickets from SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets when you use that code. CBB. Just click the link. Download the app. That code will automatically be applied.
Got something for just about everybody in here.
Big
Give a
shout
holler
out
if
to
you have any
SeatGeek
questions.
for sponsoring this episode.
What do you need, my friend? So you're interested in my potions and ingredients?
You know, WWE being more recent, but the fans that really remember me as Johnny the Dad. I was
Come back anytime if you need a remedy.
What do you do as far as the character goes? Kind of wrestling. Thanks to friends like Dallas that we go down to the power plant here in Atlanta and work on our matches. I learned from wrestling, but I'm one of the most improved wrestlers out there. But how did you play the game? Got a character. Freddie Gangster with free speech, loving his babies. I'm going to WWE while I was
So when you became Wild Man Mark Merrow, Vince McMahon asked you to do a Tarzan film.
Yes. Well, what happened was they were thinking they were getting kind of an act something similar, like they did some of the character. But because the lawsuits were really going back and forth. Remember, because they're jumping ship. So one guy on Raw one week, and next week he's on Nitro. So it wasn't good. So they had completely changed my character. And of course, I'm trusting on whatever it's going to be right. I'm new to me, obviously, great character, right? So remember, they flew me in for to talk about what they're going to have me do. It's the ground. And Vince thinks of this. Was the why? So, what's my
You know, I don't mind the cold.
He knows how to do strange voices to Tarzan, because I never know it.
Do you have any spare health potions? I don't need one now, but I accidentally run into walls a lot, so it's nice to be prepared.
So it's been an intro. And also, they really want to push me in some momentum, so they have me. Guys that were go over the title, so sticking the ability to start keeping to the first place. Because I'm just thinking the rest of the fatalities, the fatal race, TL Hotman, guys that, are wonderful guys and good workers, but they're not the guys that is going to take you up the ladder. It's a great question for Vince. I don't know. I thought, it was very hard for me to work with. First of all, this is really kind of hard to talk about in the sense that it wasn't my whole life. There's a lot of friends. So it's just really sports and teams. Organization really well was I'm flying. So I'm laughing at guys, not wounded, there's not, you know, staying up and doing things with those guys, beating up guys, and I started realizing that no one really wants to work with me, and kind of an outcast. See,
or is this, is it jealousy?
You know, part of it is, I guess, you know, think about Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mick Foley just came in just before me. Next thing you know, I'm the first guy that gets not only a guaranteed contract, but a big signing bonus.
How did you negotiate this guaranteed contract? Because I believe it was the first one that Vince McMahon had ever given out. So how did it come about that you were able to convince him to do this?
Well, 3 years before that, it's 4 games.
I'm glad I've learned ever since I met you, the amount of sword things from me has increased to say the least.
He said to me, what's it going to take for you to say this? Yes, and it's shook hands. There's no arguing.
It's nice to get out into Skyrim. I wasn't sure if I ever would.
Says, what's going to take to do it? I go, Vince, you got to give me a contract. I've never done that. I go, well, that's what I got to have, because I got another 3-year guaranteed contract with that was steady. And he goes, okay, I go, well, I also signed bonus. He goes, hey, that ain't what was it about? I love my wife. I just got married. It's like I was married 2 years. Actually, sold me. Some divorces in this industry.
Was she in the business at this point?
No, she was still he said, wait, you want your wife to fly everywhere you fly? We have these
Toss a coin to you, Richard. Oh, valley of plenty. Oh, valley of plenty.
And so he agrees to all the plans I have. Signing orders. I fly wife. So we're excited about this. Sends me a ticket to fly to North Carolina. So I call my one of my friends. It's like a ticket, but there's only one thing. I mean, it ain't. So my wife says, to sign a contract. I said, yes. So another ticket. Fly in, and that's when that walked into his office. I can put her on TV. And that's when we killed that name, Tanti. A bunch of names, we put that in there. See?
That was the first time you met her?
That first time Vince ever
and he was like, that looks like a wrestling character.
That looks like something up on the second number. They're flying her everywhere anyways.
Yeah.
So why not, put her to work? And it could be your valet and work. That's how I signed it.
And you're right, like you go out there for her, they want to cheer for her. What does this do for your kids?
We know here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. When you're married, you're in love, you're a team.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, I'm getting guaranteed money no matter what. If she gets her, like if she starts building her character up, she's going to get a lot of money in merchandise and so on, right? And sure enough, but of course, things like potato soup or something, she would have and we were doing this over and over where she was always one step ahead. Until we came down to actually having to wrestle against each other. She's stable. And I was ready to go into Reborn and still lost it. Which, is the top of the food chain right there. And when she came out, she's a good outfit. He's a stable complex.
Divine's blessing.
Round you walk, quake as you pass.
May the gods watch over your battle, friend.
God might get nervous. A man approaches with his weapon drawn.
A wanderer like you must have plenty of tales to tell. But I'm afraid I'm too busy to hear them.
How quickly did you realize she was much more popular than their character?
I always loved coming to Solitude. Buildings, the people, not to mention the Bard's College. Makes me want to sing again.
It's like, really, how we get to over, there's so change. And then teach her how to wrestle. Just once we put her into wrestling.
If we go to the Radiant Raiment, best steer clear of Midari. She can be a bit
There was a romantic angle
cold.
this event, so
This was after she went back, after we left the company. That's when we were going through our, you know, she decided to go back to the WWE. Which I didn't want to go back to wrestling. So I was kind of staying in the mind of her. She went back on the road. And that's how she
how did you find out?
I told the story she'd be like before. She'd be traveling all over the world. It's her talking around her, say goodnight. Just called her less and less.
You know, despite multiple opportunities...
Seems there's no end to the need. The finest weapons and armor.
There's still time, I guess.
So she was not calling as much. She got really upset because I call her and she was. So I called her and I just left this.
Return anytime you need arms or armor. My floor is at the west.
Wonder what it's like for those Thalmor now that things have taken down a notch.
So I can call them.
Take a good look around. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. I hope you're... Ah, so you're an alchemist then.
So I got to listen to this first message which was a male's voice. The night before.
Don't forget me next time you need herbs and potions.
Just heartbreaking. She's with some of the and she just said, worse. She moved out. That's why.
By the order of the Jarl. Stop right there.
Stop.
What point did you find out about this?
Smart man.
It was a while. She got forgiveness. It's like, so how you forgive?
New in town, eh?
Can I introduce everything I've got on display, really?
You know, they got great kids. Maybe they're not doing. In my life, they'd be better. I think about all the guys that I've given since.
Keep your eyes to the road.
Fresh meats and produce. Get them before they're gone.
You've been a good friend of... Blades, helmets, pretty much anything to suit your needs. Return anytime. You're quite welcome here.
I couldn't imagine being more content.
And you think that Sable should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame?
Oh, she did something in the women's division. We didn't have a women's division. So much better at all. But she brought praise to the channels, the ratings.
It's amazing that she's not in. Actually, sit here and think about it. She was so iconic in that era.
Need something?
It has a lot to do with, she always wanted to be in the spotlight, and then she had a big spotlight.
Got some good pieces out here if you're looking to buy. More inside. I don't claim looking to protect yourself or deal some damage.
I was just here not too long ago.
Don't forget to check inside the shop.
Welcome to blades, helmets, pretty much anything to suit your needs. Good doing business with you. $1,000 a year. That's a lot of money. It's over $1 million a year.
A lot of money in jet.
To go remote. So the idea was that we nations are complicated. So we thought, this is shooting.
Got a lot of steel to shape. Gods be praised.
So we got a place that's side people. Let's rent this place for 1 year. Still got a room in Florida. So I'm going back to Florida, Washington, D.C.
Let me know if you see anything you like. What do you need, my friend? So you're interested in my potions and ingredients?
And she called the plan was she had to go back and apologize to some guys that were really good money.
Come back anytime if you need a remedy.
Stormcloaks, Imperials, Dragons, ain't no matter to me what I kill. Let them come.
I trust you're not planning any trouble. What can I do for you, friend?
She talked to you about the storyline with Vince.
No, I mean, she just thinks it's that good. It's absolutely good stuff. So, but it was just didn't seem right.
Long life to you.
Was the door open? Would you go back to WWE this way? You were done with it?
I thought it was. But then I did do some mistakes in the team for a while. Of course, I was friends with Hulk, so I was next step you out. Tried that, for a little while.
How did you?
So I've had 14 surgeries. Anybody's in business, anybody that's been in the business for a long time has usually had the operations and shoulders and arms.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's not a matter of if you get injured.
I see guys that do stuff. I was non-stop for so many years. The guys that was Jericho. Just like weeks and Jericho.
You know, I don't mind the cold.
Honored to see you again, my friend.
Do you think you've had a Hall of Fame career?
It's, if you want to look at it, I just did.
All right.
3-time U.S. champ. Jim.
What's your dad? He lives like how to die. Carry to a team, carries immense Russian on the top, speaking sports, maybe
I feel like you'd be the perfect recipient for Reborn.
Yeah, something like that. And if I ever did
He's the best.
Relationship. Because we wrestled each other so many times. It's a push-up contest, it's pull-up contest, it's a ab contest. It was like two little kids, man. You know, we're getting up early in 60s years since we're challenging each other.
I will never mess up with you. He's such a good friend. He's such a good person. Like, I think the world's a better place.
We both find
yeah, you guys are two of very few examples of getting better after wrestling. And both of you are amazing wrestlers. But you think of the obvious ones like The Rock and Tasty John Cena. But when you think beyond them, you and Dallas are right at the top of that list.
So it's not so much fun. When I see him, he's on my phone. I got that. It's the fat bar. Right? We just go time. Pick up. It's like we have so much to share all the time with each other. And, you know, especially we've been married now. You know, wanting to spend time with his wife. So it's just really.
An interesting fact about you is you were part of The Rock's heavyweight debut match. Survivor Series 1996.
Yes. I was a captain of the team. And I was rocking the matches. But it was great. Rock is such an amazing guy. I mean, we got work so well. You know, he was brand new in the company. I was there each of the level longer before he was there. He used to come and grab me up to 45%, which I always remembered was like his faith was really strong. I hope everything was strong because I've been talking about all the time.
Did you see that charisma in him during that debut match that we ended up seeing later?
I don't think anyone saw it. He just found me confidence. It was like just kept amazing. Yeah. It was so much fun. I mean, just had this fun guys. You know, the microphone in front of me. It was
I feel like it's so easy to use. I'm just too busy as an excuse to not eat well. But Factor changes everything. We're talking fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. It's delivered to your door right in 2 minutes. There's no planning, no cooking, really no excuses. Quality, functional ingredients, proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. No refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils. And there's 100 rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh and delicious all throughout the season. My go-to meal these days is this one right here. Lemon herb grilled chicken, with quinoa rice blend and broccoli. So, pop it in the microwave, it's ready in about 2 minutes. These meals are always fresh and never frozen. There's no prep, there's no stress. So you can actually stick to your goals. Head to factorreels.com/insight50 off and use the code insight50 off to get 50% off free breakfast for a year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. I had Christian on my show, and he said that you stole the TKO from me.
You know, it's funny that Christian said that.
It's nice to get out and see Skyrim. I wasn't sure if I ever would.
Totally instructions. Please start giving art.
Lace your heart with mine. Your sleeping soul take flight. Take me through the night. Down, down by the river.
Fireplace carry. Something works or stationary. So I inside the house doing it. I was called hey, that was amazing. If I was carrying the dining cover, I go, gee, that's when I started using it, and then I saw the video, which is have you traveled far? Has your heart grown thin? Yeah, like he did the move, and then you took him out to dinner and you said, man, I'll take him back. Would it be okay if I did that move? Yeah, alright. That's what Christian, such great that is true. Because my son kills him. Christian doesn't bring it. Like I don't it's him so well. Yes. And I don't know if Christian would make it do a TKO. Of course, he was we started doing it. I gotta tell you the story because he was insulted. That's right. It's not. Think of the guy that's almost 400 pounds, right? I first started touring.
I'm glad I got to ditch that wooden sword. Can't say it turned any heads in the world of romance.
That was it's a good thing to do because he wasn't to work this satisfaction.
But it's a tough move to do because you can't do it to everybody. Like, could you do that to Big Show? Right. And the great thing about it, like, you know, Prettier, for example, do that to everybody, big or small heads.
So he's not very straight.
When did the shooting star press become it was in your rotation?
When I first came, I first remember was against Jacobs, first man jumper, and he was just I said, remember that?
Yes,
yeah. And so when it was a sunset film, you know what I mean? It was like I had a lot of moves, but they weren't finishing moves. So I called it something that was a little different. And when I was in Japan, I remember seeing it. It was just two executions underlying. Did you first start doing like she was that aggressive? I saw it's like where do you practice something like that? You know, they weren't some wrestling schools all very very. So I went down to my dad and gymnastics class with him. Well, they were on the other side of gymnastics. I would skip the horse crashes. Get up on it. So we have stuff. This is got new stuff. How to tighten your hands. You got to go from the side of it. Go and stuff. You're ready to go. And the stuff, I think I didn't regret it. The kids are all back up. You're still bad on your feet. So, hey, that's how I can work it now. Fast forward. Of course, it was driving. It's live. Kind of live. It's the summer slave. Never did. So I don't walk through our match in SummerSlam. You know what I want to try today because sure, it was I go, I'm going to Samoan drop you near the door or a top rope and do a flip and open up a match because how you going to flip? I'm going to go backwards. And he goes, so I go first.
I'm glad I'm out here instead of sweeping dragons for the third time today.
I just said, I'm for it. And I would have dropped him away. Remember, WWE rules are much different than WCW. WCW is very jump on this. WWF's rules are so we get very loose. So we're getting up there. Fly to get this thing to get part one time was every time I did it, I did a little bit on the side. I remember back to Dress Reborn. I was so sorry. It's like
what's the scariest thing you've ever had to
I remember wrestling Raven. Scotty Fordega with WCW. We were wrestling at the Omni in Atlanta. And I would do some Christmas Day. And we do Thanksgiving. And I knocked out the match. Whatever. I don't know what hit. How I hit or whatever. But I was on. And now I'm supposed to be on the match. And I don't know what I don't know who I am. I was concussed. And somehow or another, Scott for the 1, 2, 3. And what? When I went back to wrestling, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know I wrestled. Because that's how bad it was. Yeah. So that was probably the scariest one. The most important was I was doing these launches at the top rope landing and threw Dallas out of the ring. I went over the top rope. He wasn't ready for me yet. And he was on the ground.
Martin, Papa, you're home. Look what I found. Here, take it.
Hey, Pop. What is it? Thanks.
Mama took... Wow, really? Oh, stop teasing me.
Thank you again. We have a cozy little profit. Here, this is your share, love. Trinkets, odds and ends, that sort of thing.
I don't know if it was Richard or Vince, but it was Vince. And he said, we're going to do this thing now where we're going to have the guys fight and take down kind of like a tough man contest. And he said, every time you do it, I think it was $5,000 or $10,000 extra salary. And I like, no problem, okay.
It's perfect for you with the boxing.
Well, you would think so. Remember, I've already had 5 shoulder surgeries, 5 elbows, and I had speakers out there. All I had as a younger 20-year-old surgeries at home. So but the thing I did still have was had amazing ability to stuff. No one could really hit. So the only way I could really lose, I could take it down. And there was to take down King, the snake black. and it's me down over and over and like this. They never heard anything that what it was. And so next thing I know,
Goodbye, my love.
Oh.
Papa, we're playing a game. Do you want to play? Aww. Papa! What is it? Thanks.
Did you really build this house all by yourself? Wow.
And so he knew I would go for it. And so
What do you need?
Ready to take off the gloves and everything. And put the glove back. That's what one more round. So we had to fight one more round. We only went to 4 rounds.
Because you needed to win.
Yes. And they gave the decision because they deep in our relationship.
Do you get to the Cloud District very often?
Take a good look around. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. What do you need, my friend? Take a look.
Over in after sunlight, so many people, and I can't I see it now. Just big hug or something, you know, like there's no animosity or no bitterness. But back then, you know, and when I look out and go to wrestling conventions, it's like you didn't like that.
Come back anytime if you need a remedy.
And so it's just sensible.
How long did it take you to get to that point with that job?
Yesterday.
I'm right behind you. What do you want me to carry?
The concept of Morthal is crazy that, like, you guys are going in there fighting for real, and then the
Let's get going then. I've got your back. What do you want me to carry?
The thing was that one of the dumbest ideas is I want to look guys have not worked with. You know, almost everyone's really pretty bad.
Mark Gunn got not.
In this career, and you got the stipulations. So you take 2 guys that now things have a career with you. You know, again, was like
I've got your back. I'd be honored to be your steward. You've built a fine steading here. Until next time.
And sure enough, here he is ready to go to the next level. We're going to see.
Yes.
Yeah. Sleep. Stellar Born, one of my top priorities, especially with 2 young kids keeping us on our toes all day. Cozy Earth has been a big part of this. Cozy Earth's quality is undeniable. You can feel it in the materials. Their bamboo sheet set, these are the softest sheets I've ever slept on, and they're naturally breathable and temperature regulated. Sleep is so important because how you feel every day depends on how you slept the night before. With Cozy Earth, you get a 100-night sleep trial, so try it for yourself. I love it, but they're not for you. Terms are simple, and every piece comes with a 10-year warranty. They're comfortable.
Divine smile on your face.
Too. Discover how care in every detail transforms simple routines into moments of true comfort and ease. Head to CozyEarth.com and use my code CVV for up to 20% off. That's code CVV for up to 20% off. If you get a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know that you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the show. Experience the craft behind the comfort and make every day feel
I've been tending to the warriors at your
Inspires somebody
Basker for as long as I can remember.
curious who inspires you.
May the gods... I wouldn't have expected someone like you to be the harbinger. But Kodlak trusted your judgment. We've received a a citizen of White. The companions have been asked for assistance, and we shall get moving. I shudder to think what might happen if you're too late.
Friends like you are hard to find.
I just want to be better than I was yesterday. You know, just always want to treat people better. I treat people better than people. I always think of it. Treat people good. I really just want to let people know I'm a place in my life where I love telling people I love care. I get every it's a message every day. My wife has me. So we get so many messages from kids when we each other. We have this kids. And we get to talk about kids that are raised you. I don't want you to take a presentation, but the kids that are by yourself don't want to perform. Kids make it very ways. Kids that are should go parents and they just want to see people. And that's what we do.
You dropped so much wisdom during this conversation. You dropped so many great quotes. What's a quote you always go back to, or one that maybe guides your life?
Well, you know, one of the things that I think about is life is short. Fear is awful. It takes never has to be so
I watched your Mother's Day video so many times. I cry at it. How are you able to deliver? Everybody in the audience is right. How are you able to tell such a sentimental, heart-wrenching story and how they feel?
You know, I'll be honest, I tear up at almost every single one of my presentations because I'm telling the story. You can see it in the audience. And thinking, what is it? And how can we make it work? You know, that's how I do it every single time. Walking up to the chest, and first of all, I was standing so far back, I couldn't look at it. And so many people came out to say that the line was so long, so they started having some people going up to her and saying they might bring it over. I was going to look for the distance to get myself as I got closer, so I'm not the first time. So believable. She was dressed in white sheep. She looked like an angel, and I just stayed over there. Everything I had, every night.
Person on the planet. That's the key. How do you be the happiest person? Oh, it's
you know, it really is. It's a very it's the alternative. That's good. You know what I mean? I choose to be happy every day. It just the way I am. It's just there's things that you can't control this. You can't control the weather. There's just things you can't control. circumstances or situations.
John Cena told me 3 words that I think about every single day. Control. It's exactly what you're talking about. I've never heard it distilled down so simply. I think about it every single day. You can't control it. So. What I'm getting at here is now that you come to a point where you understand, what made you decide to like this?
I've always wanted to write.
Never should have come here.
Get the fighting then.
What's the hardest thing to write?
Watch it.
Yeah, you share a lot.
Well, I guess fighting then.
Yes, the drug
Watch it.
It's
nice to get out and see Skyrim. Not sure if I ever would.
Not only talks to the person, but I've seen it in education. We had so many very different. So we come out and first really
fight, isn't it?
Character. They would see to come in and doesn't find that it was just all raised just set
Sounds like you buried the hatch with everything.
Never should have come here.
If there's anyone out there that ever forget, our guys too, that they didn't mind their
in a
energy about you.